want?
E kai ke heni, o tata mai. Ka whi mau ke holo ko hata mai ko whanau.
You were never here for us!
Koe sana moe pōwai. You see him too, don't you?
Ko osi whakatau a tainai.
Tuli atu. Tuli kema. Koe whutau lai taha ni hopo. Heke ki roto la. Ka pau te ki homo.
There it is, coming to you live. Brutal Lives, Moi Faingata'a, our latest bilingual Tongan film to be coming at you. And we're joined right now on the line from Auckland, New Zealand with the one and only Sandra Kailahi. Sandra, malo e lelei and malo e taulawa ki e whiawhini. How are you?
Oh, Malo Lele. Oh, I'm Saint Bear. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's really awesome to be able to talk a little bit more about Brutal Lives, all the way from New Zealand to Brig Vegas. I love it.
I know it's a bit late over there, so I appreciate you staying up nice and late so you can join us Australian time for the program tonight to tell us a little bit about the film. But before we go into the film, Sandra, could you just quickly introduce yourself, probably for the only one person out there who doesn't know who you are, because you're very well known. But if you could just tell us where your background is in terms of the Kingdom of Tonga, where your dad's from, etc., just so people can line you up and know where you're from, etc.
Malo, thank you for that. So my father's from Kolonga on Tongatapu, and that's where my grandmother is from. But we also have links in Hapai. But my grandfather is he's a Gudenbel, and so we're from Neafu in Vava'u. And my mum is European Kiwi, so I'm Hafakasi, but born in New Zealand, and very proud to be Tongan, very proud to be from Hahake, from Kolonga.
Maria. And Sandra, this new film is so exciting. Now I saw I've seen the trailer, and the trailer, it's very powerful. I can hear the nafa playing in the background as the ad starts, and I can see there's a lot of power in it. We don't get a lot given away in that. It's enough to draw us in. Could you tell us a little bit about the film Brutal Lives, Mo'ui Faingata'a?
Yeah, Io Malo, thank you for that. So it's actually a web series, and it was commissioned by New Zealand On Air as part of their Pasifika and Asian Storytellers Fund. So it was like a one-off fund, and we applied for it. And the whole premise behind Brutal Lives, Mo'ui Faingata'a, is that it's about a fallen boxing hero who returns back to New Zealand. He's been away for 20 years in America, and he comes back after his father's spirit visits him, and he comes back to New Zealand, and he has to face the children that he left behind and his sister who's looking after the children, and also an ancestor's spirit. So that's the whole premise about what it is. It's about when I think about the themes in this, it's about love, it's about family, it's about redemption, and it's just kind of really full of raw emotion and all the, I suppose, idiosyncrasies that go along in families, relationships. Sometimes it's really tight and there's tension, and other times there's love. But it's really about a father trying to make amends for the things that he had done and trying to get back the love and trust of his family.
Now, I know, Sandra, you've teamed up with Vela Manosaute for this film, and obviously, there's, like you've mentioned, there's a lot about relationships and so forth coming in this. How much of a true story or of real life was the inspiration behind this film?
Yes, so both Vela and I mean, he's not Tongan, he's Niuean Samoan, but he says that he used to run with the Tongans. I don't know what that quite means, but in his earlier days, he spent a lot of time with his Tongan friends and family, and to the point, I think, where his mother goes, "Why are you hanging around with the Tongans? You're Niuean," which is quite funny. And if you know Vela, he's a real comedian. But what him and I discovered when we were talking about growing up is that we both had relationships with our fathers that were not always the best at times. And I think that comes down to just what the journeys our fathers went through when they came here to New Zealand as immigrants, and trying to understand the landscape here. When you're from the islands, you're coming here, and you do the best that you can with what you have grown up with, but in a different context, in a different landscape. There are lots of challenges, and I think as children, or first generation children, we kind of bore the brunt of a lot of that. And so it was, at times there were relationships where it was really strained, and, didn't really understand that. And with my dad, unfortunately, he had some mental health issues. And so that compounded things a little bit more. So his relationship and my relationship was strained at times. He's passed away now over 20 years, but we just kind of use that as inspiration to form the basis of the story around the tensions and around, what happens when things don't always go well.
Now, you've chosen to make this film. I mean, it would have been probably simple and easy just to make the film in English, but you've decided to make the film bilingual in Tongan and in English. I mean, that really opens it to a much broader audience, also brings an authenticity there in terms of the dialogue, because we don't all speak at home in English. We speak in Tongan as well as English in public and so forth. So tell us a little bit about that side, the idea and the concept of doing a bilingual film in Lea Whakatonga as well as English.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when we were talking about this in the beginning, Bella said, I want to do this Samoan story. And I said, look, no disrespect to our Samoan brothers and sisters, but, there are a lot of stories out there already, but we don't see many Tongan. And I think it's really important that if you're open to it, that we make the story a Tongan story. And not only is it just a Tongan story, but it has to have the Tongan language. They need to lea whakatonga in the film or in the web series. And he was really cool about that. And then there was a question around, why should we do it in Tongan? Are there enough good Tongan actors out there? We know there's lots of Samoan actors. And when we sort of pondered on that, and then we thought, no, I think this is, going to be a great opportunity. And it's a bit like, if you build it, they will come. But we started, writing this, and we found so many cool Tongan actors. And the caliber of the acting in this, Suleni, is just exceptional. The actors really bring their A game. And not only, I think it must be about being able to speak Tongan in it that really helped it. And so they were able to really draw on that. And not only was it in the Tongan language, but we really had to make it authentic, what you said there. So there are elements of our Tongan culture that are in there, but in a kind of urban context as well. So it makes it a little bit more modern in that respect about what are some of the pressures of being here in New Zealand, and understanding that, but also being very proud of who we are and where we come from as Tongans.
That's so good. Now, you've mentioned there some of the challenges in terms of finding Tongan actors and so on. What were some of the overall challenges, or some of the key challenges, I suppose, you came up against when creating this series?
I think the biggest one would have been for me, because I don't lea whakatonga. I am not fluent. And so I was nervous as heck. I was thinking, goodness, I want to really do this, but am I going to get it right? I think when you are, half caste as well, and just understanding, you get a little nervous about, am I going to do this right? So there were those challenges, but, I worked through that, and I was able to do that because we had the likes of Milika Pusiaki, who was our cultural advisor, and also Cecilia Pusiaki Tatuila. So we were really blessed that we had that caliber and that depth, and they were really able to help us. In the language too, with the Talawhekau, who plays the ancient warrior, we didn't want it to just be modern, conversational Tongan. It had to really be authentic and pay homage to that. So we used Heliaki in terms of the metaphoric language that he uses.
Wow.
And that really adds, I think, another dimension to who he is and what the character is, and it being really true to being Tongan.
What would you like audiences to take away from this film? People coming in who've just seen the trailer, don't know much about it. What would you like them to take away from this film?
That they can see themselves in it. They can hear the language, and they can be really proud of that. I mean, we are all proud, Tongan Pacific people. We don't always get that opportunity to see that on the screen, to the point where, we're not just playing stereotypes. It's really about that, oh my gosh, I can relate to that because it sounds like me, it looks like me. And that was really important for us. Some of the people that have seen it, that came to the special screening last night, they were just blown away. I think they were just like, when they heard the language and just the way that sometimes, Tongans say things, and just the way that they look, you go, oh yeah, I get that. That's my auntie. My auntie looked at me like that. Oh my gosh, that's my cousin because she doesn't listen. Or, that's the son who's really has their faingata'a, has a lot of respect. So there's those elements that you sort of look at and you go, yeah, that really is me. And I want to be able to see that reflected on programs that are on screen, and just be able to be proud again of who we are in our stories.
That's so good. Now, I know the film, like obviously you're in New Zealand. How do our audiences in Australia and around the world, how can we watch this film?
That's the exciting thing about this, Uliani, because it's online.
Love it.
And many audiences may be familiar with the CocoNet. So they are a Pacific online portal in New Zealand. They are not geo-blocking this, which is so exciting for us, because that means it just opens it up for all our families and our communities right around the world. And so you'll be able to log in on their Facebook page on the CocoNet TV, but even go to the CocoNet TV portal, and you'll be able to watch it. We're going to release it as a series, so you'll be able to watch it, binge watch it. It's only just over an hour, 10 minutes all up. It took a long time to film it, but you're going to be able to watch it in an hour. And we're just excited that we're going to be able to share that with everybody. And I think if you really like it, send emails or just message on the CocoNet or Brutal Lives Facebook page, because we want to be able to get more funding to maybe make a second series.
Oh, wow.
But not only that, to make some more programs. And we just need to really up the ante and tell New Zealand On Air that, this stuff is great. It doesn't just have to be online. It can be everywhere, and that we really want to see more of our stuff.
Totally, absolutely. Before we cut back to the trailer, is there anything extra you'd like to add or just share with our viewers globally tonight, also the viewers tuning in from the Kingdom of Tonga, about the film Brutal Lives, Mo'ui Faingata'a?
Yeah, there's some elements in there. So, people have said, where does some of this come from? So I talked about the experiences that Bella and I had with our respective fathers. But I also drew on a legend from Hahake, from, Hina and Sinilau. And so there's a legend that's in the web series, and it has the inspiration from that. So it's just drawing on some of the strengths around who we are and some of the elements of that, and then just looking at what the dynamics of families are. I just really, I hope people will really enjoy it. Let us know that you've enjoyed it. And even if you don't, that's okay. Tell us that as well. I mean, if it's all good, come and tell me. If it's not, don't tell Vela. And that's okay. We'll leave it with him and we'll say it's a Niuean thing. But I just really hope this is exciting. It's the first time that New Zealand On Air has funded a Tongan bilingual drama series. And it's not just something that we go, it's great for the Tongans, it's great for the Pacific people. This is good for everyone. And you do not have to be Tongan to enjoy this, because we can all relate to elements of it around family and what that means to us as Pacific people. So I'm just really excited about this opportunity. Another great thing that's come out of it is that some of the actors are now talking about wanting to do their own stories.
Wow.
And to be able to do that. And for me, that is a real joy, because the more we can get our stories out there, the more it becomes normal, as opposed to, it's a Tongan thing, it's a Pacific thing. You can look at it and go, goodness, you know what? It's a good thing. It's good quality, and we want to see more of that.
So good. Final question for you tonight, for our young and aspiring Tongan actors out there, or not necessarily young, but there might be some of our seniors out there who've always wanted to break into the film industry. What would you suggest, or what advice would you give to them if they'd like to be in the next upcoming film?
Yes. Well, I put myself in that category, Suliani, young at heart, if you're not young in age. We asked the actors that last night, what's your advice? And, they've said, you've just got to have that dream and go for it. And it's not easy. I mean, goodness, I didn't know how to do this, in terms of co-writing it and co-creating it, as well as producing it with Vela, who directed it. and you've got to keep going. And sometimes you tend to want to go this way, but you might have to go sideways, to get to where you are. I think the main thing is don't, Bella said it really well. Just if you get knocked back, if you get, going into a wall, you just get up and you keep going. So that's what I would say. If you've got a passion, a dream, talk to people that that might be in the industry to see how they can help you. And just really go for your dreams. Because you know what? We want to see more of our Pacific actors and out there doing great things. Joe Falau is amazing in this. Sane Vaipulu Green is a young aspiring actress, and she's so talented. Jason Manumua, he's been doing this for a little while. Albert Rounds Heimuli, he worked on Xena and Hercules, and as a stuntman and as an actor. And Isaiah Latu, we call him the Tongan Samuel L. Jackson. Just really good, to be able to have that caliber. But if you ask them, they've had their knocks and setbacks, as we all have. You've just got to keep going.
That's so good. Hey, thank you so much, Sandra, for your time and for sharing that with us. We are looking forward to watching Brutal Lives Mo Faingata'a coming out on the internet. As you said, it's going to be global, so everyone can watch it, even for our crew tuning in from Tonga, Australia, and over there in the US of A and everywhere around the world. Looking forward to it. We're going to play the trailer one more time now, but we just want to say a big malo albito and ofa to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight, and wish you all the best with the film and future ones coming up on the horizon.
Oh, Malo Alpito. Thank you so much, Suliani, for this opportunity. And it's so great that you guys are doing Pasifika TV and radio in Brisbane for our communities over there. Look, the more we can get our messages and our songs and our words out there, the better. So ofa atu to all of you as well. And just Malo Alpito for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, Sandra. Ofa atu kia te koe. Take it easy. Let's check it out, that trailer one more time. Coming at ya this series next week, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brutal Lives Mo'ui Faingata'a.
What do you want?
E kai ke iheni, mahata tamai. Ka whemau ke holo ko tamai ko whānau.
You were never here for us!
Koe sama moe pōwai.
You see him too, don't you?
Ko osi whakatau a tainai.
Tuli atu. Tuli kema. Koe whutau lai taha ni hopu. Heke ki roto la. Kapau te ki humu.